Hello, everybody. My name is Joanne Shearer, Parkin, registered dietitian and nutritionist. I have about 50 years of experience in this profession, and many of my years were spent counseling people and clients, patients about weight management. Now, today, I'm going to focus my webinar on weight management for older adults. Those are adults that are over 55 years of age. And so the title of my webinar today is Lose the Fat and Keep the Lean, Weight Management for Older Adults. So what are the objectives for my seminar today? First of all, health and metabolic considerations for older adults and weight loss. This is important that older adults have different nutrition and metabolic considerations. We're talking about body composition and fat loss versus weight loss. A little bit about the best diets for fat loss, and also some self-management tools and apps and online programs that might help you in your journey. First of all, let's look at weight management history and the billions of dollars that are being spent by our consumers in America on weight management. In 2021, that amount was $72 billion. At the same time, obesity increased from 30.5% to 42.4%. Now, this is according to CDC data from 2000 to 2018. Now, then we had something else that occurred, right, in 2021. In 2021, we had what we call the quarantine 15 that people were talking about, right? This was related to the pandemic, when people were locked in their homes, when they were locked out of the fitness center, people were stressed out, people gained weight, and many people still have not lost their quarantine 15 pounds that they gained. Now let's talk a little bit about how we diagnose overweight and obesity. For the past, I'd say 30 years, maybe 40, we have based overweight and obesity on body mass index, BMI. And so when you go to your doctor, they will calculate your BMI. So if you're over 25 on the BMI scale, you're considered overweight. If you're over 30, you're obese, and then there's severe obesity. But times are changing. And now the current thinking is that we need to focus more on body composition, not just weight. So body composition is your percent of your lean body mass or your fat-free mass versus the percent of fat. So you're hearing more and more about that these days, right? People talking about their percent body fat, that they're striving for that. That's what they're really working for in their fitness and their weight training program. So I think on the left, this little diagram really shows you just the difference between a person who is at 20% body fat at 130 pounds versus 130 pounds and 35% body fat. So you can see that there is a huge difference in the how the body is sculpted, just how fit and lean someone looks with a body fat percent of 130 pounds and 20%. So you might be thinking, okay, that's fine and dandy. So how do I know what my body fat percentage is? Well, we now have these scales, body composition scales, that you can now purchase that are actually quite affordable. This one I found on Amazon, and it was for sale for $24. Or you could go even a little more sophisticated and get one that is actually connected to your smartphone via Bluetooth and can share the data that way. So there are these tools available, or you can go to your fitness centers. Many of the fitness centers do have body composition scales. I know my doctor does. So I have my body composition measured every time I go to my doctor. So that's fantastic. So as we've talked about how it's more important to know your percent of body fat and your body composition than actually just what your body weight is or your BMI. Another consideration is that it's really more dangerous, and the dangerous place to carry your fat is in the abdominal area, in the belly area. We call it the toxic, dangerous belly fat, or visceral fat if you want to get scientific, right? What's so dangerous about this fat is that this fat produces inflammatory compounds called cytokines. Also, carrying this fat around your waist and this visceral fat that's in and among your body organs is associated with some pretty serious chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. So your goal is really for men to have a waist circumference of less than 40, women less than 35. Actually, if you can get your waist circumference lower than that, that's even better. Another consideration, especially for older adults, is that we lose our muscle mass as we age. And if you look at this graph from fightsarcopenia.com, you'll see that per decade, between the ages of 40 and 70, you lose 8% per decade. When you get to be age 70, it accelerates 15% per decade after age 70. So I think this is really concerning because this loss of your muscle mass is called sarcopenia, age-related loss of muscle. Sarcopenia affects 30% of adults over age 60. It contributes to frailty, increased falls, and increases death rate from all causes. This is serious business we're talking about, this age-related loss of muscle. Also, this increases oxidative stress and inflammation. This is associated with all of the chronic diseases of aging. That's the bad news. The good news is preventable. Yes, preventable with just 1 hour per week of resistance training plus some adequate protein with meats. So this slide I borrowed from a physical therapist that wrote in the Ropes and Ranch newsletter. And this slide shows the MRI slices of the thigh from 2 older adults. At the top, you will see the 74-year-old sedentary man. At the bottom, you have the 70-year-old triathlete. Now, if you look at these slides, or these MRI slices, this white circle here is the femur. This wildest white tissue here is fat. And this gray tissue is the muscle. So just look at the difference in the muscle mass of the 70-year-old triathlete versus a sedentary man. Pretty amazing. I think this really picture just kind of tells it all. This 74-year-old is in grave danger of all of the consequences of sarcopenia, right? So when it comes to weight management for older adults, it's even more critical, more important that you focus on losing the fat and keeping the lean, preserving your muscle mass. So 3 key strategies I'm going to talk about today is to avoid the yo-yo dieting syndrome, maintain adequate protein intake, and get out there and do some weight training. So let's talk a little bit about why you want to avoid the yo-yo dieting syndrome. Yo-yo dieting decreases your muscle mass, and it also decreases your metabolic rate. Your metabolic rate is the rate at which you burn calories. So this chart really kind of says it all. You go on a diet, your metabolism slows down, you end the diet, you resume your normal eating, you gain the weight back, go on a diet, metabolism slows down, and so on, right? Just a big cycle. And people will do that for years and never get out of that yo-yo dieting syndrome. This is a really critical, important concept with weight management. Your muscle mass is your calorie burning machine in your body. Make it work for you. So you're looking on the screen, you're seeing the top bar says your total energy expended divided into 3 categories. That energy, we could actually substitute the word calorie for that. So your total calorie expenditure. The first component of that is your resting energy expenditure, the basal metabolic rate. That's 60 to 75%. So in other words, the calories you're burning at rest. So 60 to 75% of my calories right now are being burned just sitting here. Now, the higher your muscle mass, the higher that percentage is going to be. Because isn't it interesting? Only 15 to 30% of your total calorie expenditure a day goes toward physical activity. Yes, if you go from 15% to 30, yes, that will help. That's definitely going to help you to burn more calories. But building muscle mass is really where you want to have your focus. Yes, you want to do some cardio, and you also need and must do some weight training as well. So this is why extreme diets fail. Do you see this? You get into the cycle, you lower your lean body mass, you lower your metabolic rate at the rate that you're burning calories. So we're going to try to lose the fat, keep the lean. And of course, weight training would be the third one. So you want at least 1 hour of weight training a week. That's really not enough. I really recommend, and I think all the fitness gurus recommend, is 20 to 30 minutes of weight training 3 times a week. But let's talk about adequate protein. What is adequate? For adults 55 plus, and you're on a lower calorie diet, you're going to cut back on some calories, maybe 300 to 500 calories. When you do that, you need to bump up your protein intake, and not massively. You need to go from 1.0 grams per kilogram to 1.2 grams per kilogram. So how does that convert into actual protein intake per day? So for a 160-pound female, it would be 87 grams of protein, or approximately 30 grams of protein at a meal. For men, because they have higher lean body mass, they have higher muscle mass, they need more, about 40 grams of protein per meal. Now, your kilograms, there's a little calculation that's required, dividing your body weight in pounds by 2.2, right? And then you take that times the amount of protein you need per gram. So that's complicated. So I want to take the complication out and instead download a food tracking app. This is going to help calculate it for you. It'll do the work for you, right? It'll help you figure out how much protein you need, per kilogram. So one that's been around for years, and actually I think is still an excellent food tracking app, is MyFitnessPal. In fact, my oldest daughter, she has lost 70 pounds in the last 3 years. I'm just so proud of her. And what she did was she used this FitnessPal app extensively to track her food intake, seeing if she was meeting her protein and calorie goals, her fitness goals. This was really just key to her in her fitness journey. And there's other fitness apps out there. You can check them out because, you might find that you like one of these better. But definitely a food tracking app is great for self-monitoring, and it can give you a lot of great information and a lot of great feedback. Now, when it comes to protein, you're saying, well, what choices do I make? Well, how can I choose the right amount of protein? I found these fabulous charts at trifectanutrition.com, and just started out, they start with this pure protein versus lean protein. And look over on the left on the pure protein. Isn't it interesting? It's mostly fish. Yes, fish, very high protein and low calorie. Probably your very best choices. And I'm all for that because I'm a Mediterranean diet gal. I'll tell you, I love the Mediterranean diet for many reasons. And then you have from that your lean proteins. Lean beef, as you can see, is there, and bison as well, and some other plant foods, edamame, for example. Then they have high fat protein. Actually, salmon is high fat, but it's all that awesome, wonderful omega-3 fats. So we eat a lot of this. I'm a big fan of salmon. And then you have the high carb proteins as well. So you can just go to nutrition.com, and you can download these charts, and I think they'll be very helpful. So what about protein shakes? Thumbs up for that for sure, for a protein shake. I think for older adults, this can be absolutely a fantastic way to make sure that you're getting enough protein in your day. My favorite is whey protein. It's quickly absorbed and it contains all the essential amino acids, but there's other sources of protein out there that are also very good. Soy protein, hemp protein, rice protein, pea protein. These are all plant-based proteins. Some of them do contain the essential amino acids, but not all of them do. My favorite is, of course, the whey protein. Why? We have over 20,000 research articles on whey protein showing that it seems to be the very best protein for building muscle mass. It also increases an important cellular antioxidant called glutathione. It's important to help with wound healing, and it does contain some immunoglobulins, that's a big word, to boost your immune system. So now moving on to carbohydrates. Yes, you can include carbohydrates in your weight management program or your diet. Now, I recommend choosing those minimally processed, high fiber, low glycemic index carbohydrates. And yes, you need fiber. Fiber is extremely essential. Fiber is important to promote your healthy gut microbiome. In fact, the more diversity of fiber you can get in your diet, the better. And high fiber foods tend to be also very low on the glycemic index, which means that the fiber in those foods helps to slow down the absorption of the carbohydrates. All those carbohydrates can get converted to blood sugar, right? So this is an important concept when you're choosing your carbohydrates. Now, how much to eat? It just depends on your total calorie intake. I suggest maybe like right around maybe 150 grams of carbohydrates as kind of maybe a goal or starting point to actually eat less than 150 grams of carbohydrates. So another benefit of your fiber is that fiber can help to promote satiety or can help with hunger. Yes. So this is getting into talking a little bit about the role of your microbiome. That is all of the microbes in your gut, all of the viruses, the bacteria, and the fungi that live within your gut. There's more DNA in your gut than what's in the rest of your body. And another interesting concept about the microbiome is that the microbiome and your gut communicates with your brain. Great. This is called the gut-brain axis. Interesting, right? And it plays a role in appetite and weight control. So probiotics and prebiotics, and these you can take in supplements, can really help with your weight management. Probiotics are live microorganisms. You might remember and think lactobacillus is probably one of those very popular strains of probiotic bacteria. These are live microorganisms in a capsule or a powder that you can take, and that will help to populate and reseed your gut with healthy microorganisms. The prebiotics are non-digestible fibers that actually are the fuel or the food for your probiotic bacteria. There's an important process that takes place in the gut when you combine those two together, is those healthy gut bacteria. They feed on the prebiotics, and produce short chain fatty acids. This is also known as your gut fuel, these short chain fatty acids. What they do is they reduce inflammation in your gut and they protect the lining of your gut. We call it the gut barrier, and it prevents toxic stuff from leaking across your gut and into your systemic system, right? Another thing that these short chain fatty acids do is that they stimulate the production of anti-hunger hormones. So leptin is a satiety hormone, and peptide YY is an appetite control hormone. Wow, who would have thought that your gut could help you with weight management? Now, I'm a representative for a company that markets very high quality probiotics and prebiotics. So if you'd like to know more about those, you can just email me at my email. I have it up here on the screen if you want to write that down. And I can answer your questions and tell you more about probiotics and prebiotics if this is something that you would like to incorporate into your weight management program. Let's talk a little bit about fats. And yes, fats are essential, and you can include these in moderation. My favorites are extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil. A little bit on coconut oil. And you might think, really, coconut oil? Yes, coconut oil I see as a healthy food. It's a source of medium chain triglycerides for your brain. These oils are great for your brain. The other thing too about coconut oil and MCTs is that these fats do not get processed like other fats. In fact, they go right to your liver, they get burned and used for energy, and they don't get stored as fat in your body. And these fats have a neutral effect on your lipids. In fact, I was reading recently that actually MCTs can actually boost up your good healthy cholesterol a little bit, but it doesn't really increase your total cholesterol or your LDL cholesterol. So go ahead and include some coconut oil in your day. And fats are really good for what I call satiety. They also help with hunger and appetite control. Now, we've talked about the principles, some basic principles of weight management, the kind of some do's and don'ts, right? Now let's go on and talk about, which diet is best, which program should I follow? And instead of just trying to give you my favorite one program or that program, instead, I would like you to think about my 3 rules for choosing a diet or a diet program. And so what are my rules? My 3 S's. The diet must be sustainable. It's something that you can stick with for the long term, right? So you're around to change your eating habits versus thinking about dieting. So kind of get that dieting thing kind of out of your brain, right? You're going to be thinking about a lifetime of eating, a pattern of eating, how you're going to change your life and lifestyle, right? Rather than dieting. Because we know what happens when you're dieting, right? Get in that yo-yo cycle, not good. So the next S is a diet must be satisfying and nutrient dense, right? Satisfying. You should be able to enjoy your meals and eating, and it should include a wide variety of healthy foods. The third one is we want your nutrition program to be socially adaptable. It should be able to eat out and enjoy meals with family and with friends. So remember those 3 S's, right? Is the program or the diet sustainable? Is it satisfying and nutrient dense? And is it socially adaptable? So where I turn to for looking at what are the best diets for weight loss or best programs, I turn to the U.S. News and World Report because there's 40 nutritionists and experts in weight management that analyze and review all of these diets, and they've all done the work for us, right? So we don't have to try to figure all that out, right? But I just have to start out by talking about the Mediterranean diet, because the Mediterranean diet has been ranked as the healthiest diet for 5 years in a row. So for overall health, the Mediterranean diet is by far the best. And it's really the easiest diet to follow and the best plant-based diet as well. Now, it ranks number 5 when it comes to the best diet for weight management. Now, you can really follow this diet with some modifications. You might track and look at how many carbohydrates in the Mediterranean diet that you're eating, generally, I think the calories kind of take care of themselves. If you're truly eating a Mediterranean diet that is very high in, plant foods, greens, olive oil, fish, nuts and seeds, vegetables, a variety, some fruit, but lower with red meat. And so if you follow that diet, the calories usually kind of take care of themselves, and your appetite and hunger control because you're eating all those healthy, nutrient-dense foods. Now, U.S. News and World Report for 2023 ranked Weight Watchers as the best weight loss diet. Now, the Weight Watchers has changed a lot over the years. They still have a great support program. I think that is probably the biggest asset of this program is you get all of that group support, right? But if you look at the healthiness score for the Weight Watchers program, it's 3.9 out of 5.0. It's not really considered like the healthiest diet that you can follow, but you can probably make it as really super healthy and nutrient dense as far as how you choose your points, right? Now, the second diet was voted as the best diet for weight loss is the DASH diet. It is a modification of the Mediterranean diet, and its score is very high on the healthiness score. Did you see that? So I went online and did a little more research about the DASH diet and what was out there to help people to support them if you wanted to follow this program. And you can actually subscribe to the DASH diet online, and it's very minimal price, and you get all of these tools. You get personalized meal plan, you get some suggestions for snacks and desserts, recipes. Really, I think it's phenomenal. You only get 24/7 nutritional support. That's fantastic for that price. So I think this is a great option for many people, is if they're really needing, if you're a person, you like it more structured, you want a meal plan, you want that recipes to go with that. And this is make it, and it's simple, right? It's not complicated. It's a great program and a great option for many people. Now, how about the fast weight loss diet, which I really am not a fan of fast weight loss, because usually fast weight loss means fast regain. We don't want fast regain, We want to lose the weight in a methodical way, and do it maybe a little more slowly so that you can keep it off, right? But let's talk about this. So the ketogenic diet is been voted, of course, they listed it as the best fast weight loss diet. And of course, if you look at the healthiness of the ketogenic diet, they don't rate it very high, do they? 1.9 out of 5. So let's talk about the ketogenic diet. Is it sustainable? Is it something you can follow long term? Is it satisfying? Does it include a variety of foods? And is it socially adaptable? The ketogenic diet probably would fail all of those, don't you think? Probably really doesn't fit all that. But where would a ketogenic diet be beneficial? If somebody's, morbidly obese, and that obesity is really threatening their health, and if the ketogenic diet is something they can follow and they can stick with, and they're, under the supervision of a doctor, or they're with a dietitian, a nutritionist, then this can really be maybe a great choice for them. So I'm not sure that this will be my number one diet, of course, choose for anybody. And this is why. Because, you're eliminating a lot of essential nutrients in some food groups. And so you definitely have to take multivitamin mineral supplements. And if you look here at this 12 to 1400 calories for a female, 8 to 9 ounces of protein a day is kind of marginal in terms of meeting your protein requirements, because it's going to depend a lot upon your body weight. Again, like I said, you're eliminating a lot of nutrients in your diet. And there are some side effects of this diet, and that would be bowel irregularity, particularly constipation. You can get something called the keto flu. You can disrupt your microbiome because you're not getting much fiber. You can certainly add prebiotic fiber. That would be I would highly recommend that. With my company, it's a prebiotic fiber powder that you just mix with water. So that can give you some of those non-digestible fibers to help your microbiome. You can add flaxseed and chia seed. That helps tremendously. You're at risk of nutrient deficiencies, dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, some concern about your liver, building up some fat there. Pretty strict. It's not very socially adaptable. I still think you can follow it for the most part when you're able to plan it out yourself. And I do suggest some medical supervision. So if you're actually, again, looking at a diet program, remember we said best diet for weight loss. Now, Weight Watchers is up there again, isn't it? The US News and World Report really likes Weight Watchers. I really like the DASH diet myself personally. I really do. Weight Watchers is great if you're looking for some group support and you really feel like you need that. They have a great app now too with their program. So it's still a really great choice. Noodle's another one that I really like because look at it scores pretty good on the healthiness score. There you get some online nutrition health coaching as well with this. It's really can be another program. They have a great app as well. And it's more about the psychology of weight management, you know, the emotional, psychological aspects of weight management. It's a really pretty good program, really holistic in their approach. So this could be a great option too for you as well. Now, what about a physical activity tracker and a wearable? You know, are these helpful? And you know, I found some great research on this. It was a systemic review and meta-analysis of 26 studies. And they found significant improvement in all measures of physical activity when people wore a fitness tracker. They found that wearing this fitness tracker increased daily steps, increased energy expenditure, and decreased sedentary behavior, all the things that we want to achieve. So if you don't have a fitness or physical activity tracker, this can be another simple tool that you can use that's going to help you, right? To stay on track with your physical activity tracker and your food tracker. It is important. It is kind of another project. And to be successful, you know how does that go? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you really have to have a plan and take advantage of all these tools out there, right? Online tools, the trackers, the apps, take advantage of all that. And here's another option. How about a meal delivery program where the meals are prepared for you? There's this great website, healthline.com. They have some actually excellent nutrition, reliable information. Their articles are well written, well researched. They have research footnotes and they cite studies all the way through their articles. So this was something I found at Healthline, and it was a quick look at the best meal delivery services for seniors, right? So you can go to healthline.com and you can go and review all of these meal delivery programs. And I think this is excellent for people that are living alone. We're trying to shop and prepare for one person and to prepare a healthy meal. Can be just, almost impossible and extremely expensive. You could actually save money by just, subscribing to one of the meal delivery services. And they even have some that are for older adults with medical conditions, for example, the best organic meal delivery program. So take a look at these because I think these could also be extremely helpful as well. So with that, I am going to sign off, but before I do, let's just talk a little bit about what we learned today. Learn that we should be focusing on body composition versus weight loss when we are trying to lose the fat. Isn't that the truth? We're trying to lose the fat, keep the lean. Need to avoid the extreme dieting and the yo-yo syndrome because that is actually going to sabotage your efforts in the long term. You will end up gaining more weight. It's crazy, isn't it? Yes. We learned that adequate protein plus weight training is essential in order to prevent sarcopenia as we age, because we know that we're losing all that lean body mass starting after age 40. There are so many self-monitoring tools out there, got apps, online tools, health coaching, so that you can take advantage of all the tools available. And lastly, but certainly not least, remember my 3 rules for choosing the best diet or the best program for weight loss. Is it sustainable? Is it satisfying and nutrient dense? And is it socially adaptable? And with that, I think I will sign off, and I want to thank you for joining me. And if you're watching this replay of my seminar, thank you. Thank you very much. If you want to ask me questions, feel free to send me an email at jshearerrd@gmail.com. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me.